Damn these Biloxi blues, it happens every night. And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine. The summer heat never treats me kind, it leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time. This highway does not know my name, and
does
I don't care. No, I don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a
Let's hear the hook right here.
just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Welcome to the low budget live, not so live bar and grill without the grill. Low budget live without the live. We are coming to you on a rainy morning here. This will be the Christmas Spectacular, as evidenced by my TH Marine ugly Christmas sweater I got on today. And y'all will hear this on Monday, on Christmas Eve. And I hope all you fellas out there got your act together. I hope you do, because it's here and there's not a dang thing you can do about it now. Nothing can save you. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Your wife's going to be mad as a wet hen if you don't get her the right thing. And you know that. And I'd like to think that I pulled one out on Friday. I sure hope I did. I'm not completely sure that I did, but I feel like I might have hit a not a home run, but maybe a ground rule double. might have pulled it off. I went to a place, and I'm not even gonna say this because my wife is like a kid. She wants to know what she's getting for Christmas. She'll go digging through receipts and things and looking at the bank account. So you got to be sneaky with the triple threat. Even if I'm buying the wrong thing, she's going to know what it is. So it's here. I do feel like I might have pulled it off. We will see. We will see. Going to be an interesting Christmas for this bunch around here. Of course, it's going to be the first Christmas without my mom. So just trying to get through this thing. And that's why today I wanted to end this podcast season on a positive note. I wanted to bring somebody on that's full of positivity, because I know we've been negative on here, and we've been this bass fishing world's been an uproar. And I'll be honest with you, I need a little dose of positive. So we're going to end this year on a bang, on a good note with today's guest, and with the Christmas Spectacular. And this Christmas Spectacular is brought to you by the fine folks at Starbright and Startron. Starbright Cleaning Products, making your boat look as good as new. Pretty much. Your boat can't be falling apart too much. It's not going to take care of a ratchet boat. You know what I mean? It's not going to take a ratchet boat and make it bougie. Okay, it's not going to do that, but it will clean it up a little bit. We got some fiberglass restore. They got some seat, like some mildew cleaner. They got all kind of stuff. This is Ultimate Boat Guard. I really like it. Shines up the old Ranger without me having to put too much elbow grease in it, which is I'm a big fan of, as you can tell. Don't exactly wash my rig every freaking time I take it out. So thanks to those guys, definitely coming back on board for some low budget live in 2020. So love those guys very much. Good people down there, and we're hoping to shoot a traveling circus or two together next year as well. Speaking of which, while I'm on the plug train, I know a lot of y'all say, no plugs. Well, without plugs, these shows and channels and things really don't happen the way you want them to happen. All this does, even though this is low budget, it does cost a little bit of money to do this, and so we appreciate sponsors helping us out. It's the same as fishing. I know people get tired of hearing about the companies that support us, but it's true. None of this would be possible without sponsors, just like the tournament trail. So support the people that support the sport. And but while I'm getting plugs out, I want to get one for myself. So 2020 for this channel and for me, being removed from the FLW Tour, my focus is going to be on this channel, providing the best content I can provide, and really getting entrenched in the YouTube world, the YouTube game. And so I started that a little bit this year with the Traveling Circus, but with Austin Boyd and I following and documenting the FLW Tour season that I had. And the Traveling Circus will be taking a next step in that it's going to be more of a fishing show. 1 30-minute episode per month. We're going to be doing vlogs in between, so it's not like you're just going to get one fishing video a month out of me. But the Traveling Circus, we filmed 2 this fall. The first one, January 8th. January 8th for my Minnesota frog fishing trip back this fall. January 8th with my buddy Kyle Wood from FLW fame. Kyle's one of the editors there in the website and the magazines and taking photos on the water and giving you the coverage. Kyle Wood, good man. And we shot the very first Traveling Circus ever outside of a tournament with Tanner Lyons running the camera, and January 8th. So we're going to do one of those a month, okay? Another series that I'm super pumped about, and it's an idea I had last year, and it's coming to life thanks to TH Marine, and this is going to be low budget live. It's going to be a spinoff of this, but it's going to be a monthly show, a monthly series called Boats and Pros, baby. Mike popped. Boats and Pros. And the idea of this is pretty simple. No, we're not going to be necessarily covering your favorite pro's rig top to bottom, but I'm going to show up with some kind of different boat every time. That's the goal. And we will do some of these in the guys' boats and showcase their sponsors and things. But I want to find old boats, all kind of different things. And we're going to go out and do a one-on-one interview, a little different than low budget style, really dig deep into each guest. And we have got some good folks lined up. And there's going to be one of those a month as well. So look for that, presented by TH Marine at the end of January. Okay. And the first one is a big guest. So I can't wait. We haven't filmed yet. I'm going to do that in the next couple of weeks, but super pumped about that. But so make sure you're subscribed. I really appreciate the support the podcast has driven. Of course, you'll have a weekly podcast in 2020. That's going to be the goal, barring any major disaster, just like we've been doing weekly podcasts. Might even do 2 a week like we just did, because it was an important week. I felt like it needed to be done. So thank you so much for supporting this and going forward. And I think that the time, energy, effort, expense, everything we're going to put into this, and I've got a team, camera guys and that work with me that are great people. I've got some folks helping me, and when I say team, I mean my family, because this takes a lot, okay, to do this, and so everybody that leaves a positive comment and says, hey, man, really appreciate what you're doing, that means a lot. And I know it means a lot to my wife, because I do. I'm invested in this. And it does take a lot of time away from your family to do this, to put all of it together, to edit, and to stay on social media and stay involved in these conversations with everybody. So thank you, and be on the lookout for all that. Can't wait to get through Christmas here and bring on the new year. 2019 kicked me in the teeth a little bit. Y'all all know that's been well documented. But ready to have Christmas with the kiddos and love on them, love on old Big, my dad, Marty D, and my brother Blake, and my nieces, and just get through this holiday the best way we know how, and that's being together. So Merry Christmas to all y'all out there. Hope it's a good one. I know these can be the most difficult time of year, but man, try to get around somebody that cares about you. Okay, that's the only advice I can get to you that really making a difference for me. And there can be some dark times right now, even for me. Y'all know I'm a happy-go-lucky kind of guy, but it's rough right now. So y'all, surround yourself with people that you care about, whether that be friends, neighbors, family, whatever you got to do, because it ain't all Christmas carols and candy canes. That's for dang sure. Christmas time for a lot of people, it's a hard time for people. So, and I'll say this: if you got somebody that may be having a hard time that's around you, bring them into your situation. Bring them in. Love on them a little bit. And speaking of a love fest, just coming off of the last LBL BPT debate club, meeting of the minds, so to speak, and lots of comments, lots of views on that one. It's been mixed. I've seen some people, hey, I respect Gerald Sport. I've seen some people, hey, I don't. He was reading a script. I've seen some people, love Tim Horton. I've seen some people disagree with the things that they said. One thing that I can say is I felt like it went as well as it could have gone. Okay, you've got those guys were coming in guns blazing at me. I have obviously gone guns blazing at that organization and a lot of people in that organization on this show. They were the first two to really come on since the quote controversy started, okay? So they were coming into a hostile environment. Do I believe they were super prepared? Yeah. Do I believe that they were wanting to get some points across for the organization, for themselves? Yeah, and what they were passionate about. And I'll let them speak. I've had a lot of comments. Why didn't you ask them this? Why didn't you ask them that? Because they requested to come on the show, and I was going to let them talk, okay? Everybody knows my viewpoints on 99% of this. I've said it on here. So I've seen a lot of comments saying that they didn't appreciate Gerald Spoyer not apologizing to me. Well, maybe he didn't feel like he needed to. I don't know. All I can do is me, and that's what I did. I apologized for the things that clearly offended him that I might have been knee-jerk reaction on in the moment, and there's a lot more to that situation once I got to digging and found out, and so, that's up to Gerald, and I really respected him for coming on. I enjoyed hearing his story, and I know a lot of other people did too. There was something that Tim and Gerald both said that, and I tried to make this point. I've seen this in the comments, but I do want to say this. There's this overwhelming theme coming from both of them, and it is something that they were trying to get across for the organization about this no entry fee deal, which is fantastic, which I've talked about. But they talked about how, they can go talk to, and Gerald in particular said, go talk to a young high school kid and look him in the eye and be able to tell him, hey, man, you can do this. Well, the problem being, though, and I did bring this up, it's very expensive to do this, okay? So to get to that Bass Pro Tour level, that deal there, which is no entry fee, you got to go through the BFLs, which cost a lot of money. And none of this should be free. You should have to pay. It's how it's always been. I get it. And that's how you kind of earn your stripes, so to speak. And if you succeed, you'll get sponsors and whatnot. It happens. So you can argue this any way you want to. But, now with the program set up the way it is, then you got to go to the coasters, which costs a significant amount of money. There are smaller divisions. But then you go to this FLW Pro Circuit, which used to be the tour. And, dude, it's going to cost you a minimum of about 60, 70 grand to fish it between entry fees and expenses, maybe 80, depending on, and that's not counting boat, truck, all that. So then you got to do that for a couple years to then maybe have a chance to go to the BPT. So that being said, it's not a perfect system. It's not. I do applaud those guys for the no entry fee mindset, okay? That is something that we need to make this a professional sport because it is high-stakes gambling otherwise. I've said that many times. But let's be honest, though. It's not going to be financially easy to get to that point for an 18, 19-year-old kid, 20-year-old kid. So, that was said by both those guys. That's something I wanted to address. I've seen it in the comments a lot. And, yeah, that is my opinion on that. And I tried to I can't remember exactly how I worded it to Gerald, and Tim and I got off on some other things. But I appreciate both of those guys coming on. This is a really small industry, okay? And we have to work shows around each other. We all share sponsors, and we share the same dream a lot of the time. And so we can have heated discussions. I can say, I think it sucks. And they can say, I think you suck. And I think we can meet in the middle and we can agree to disagree, or we can get points out. And I think we can have conversations like adults. And that's the only way this is going to happen. So that any kind of, gaps can be bridged. And if you're on the side of the fence, I've seen a lot of comments. If you're on the side of the fence, you're like, screw MLF. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. Y'all know where I stand on it. At the same time, I think they're willing to change. I think there will be some changes coming. And it'll be interesting to see. And you know what? I dare say I think that you guys out there that are voicing your opinions, that are the hardcore bass fishing base, that utilize this show and these comments and the things you send me and the things I talk about, I think will have a lot to do with the fact if something does change. I think guys like Randall Tharp speaking out, I think guys like Swindle and Polnick leaving, I think all that will come together and make that deal better. You know, it's year one. I do. I think it'll make it better. We'll see. We'll see, man. We'll see. But like Tim and I talked, I'm just ready to get back to some fishing talk. But something else I want to address, the audio glitch that happened with Tim. I've had some comments, hey, man, didn't make you look good. Whatever. Okay. I had a major issue during the Scott Martin podcast when I had Upshaw on. Upshaw and I had gone for 30 minutes, and I had this massive audio glitch that I saw happening. With Tim, it was like 2 minutes worth of the show that you missed, okay? And he was comparing the Jim Wilburn situation where Jim called my bosses, Jim, the CEO of MLF, to a sponsor situation that he had. That's all you missed. You can send Tim a message on Instagram and he'll tell you about it. He'll tell you because I had to figure out a way to cut it. It took me forever, and I'm not good at splicing audio, and I'm not good at any of that kind of crap, so it wasn't anything that made me look bad. It wasn't anything that needed to be taken out, okay? It happened, and it was about 2 minutes worth. I called Tim afterwards. Once I realized this happened, we had a 20-minute conversation. He was very kind about it. I said, look, dude, I got to cut it. He said, totally understand. Audio glitch. So there you go. I've had some messages on it. I've had some comments. That's fine. It is what it is. I am an honest guy, and I wasn't trying to make him look like crap in any kind of way. Tim is very understanding in the situation, and so that was that. That was that. Funny about Tim, and he and I, we live about 45 minutes an hour apart and have worked sponsors together and have known each other for a very long time. And Friday, I guess, my kids got out of school early, and I went down to a trampoline park, which never, ever, if you're an adult, don't jump in those. I broke my ankle about 6 years ago in one of those, and what I discovered is there's a dark underworld to those trampoline parks. They got a dang closet full of medical equipment, okay? Closet full, because fat guys like me get in there in their athletic pants, and they're like, this is a good time. Boom! Game over. Then you break something, which I did on right around my 30th birthday, 6 years ago. So anyways, took my kids to one of these. I'm sitting on the sideline because I ain't about to jump on one of those things and break anything else. Y'all saw a swim bait head broke my freaking ankle. I'm fragile anyways. So I'm at a place down in Florence, Alabama, close to where Tim lives, and I get a text from Tim, and he's like, question. And I'm thinking, what have I done now? And he says, are you at the trampoline place in Florence, Alabama? And I said, I indeed am. And my response back was, is Boyd Duckett telling me with the Secret Service or something? Of course, we had a good laugh over that. But Tim's wife, Kim, was actually there with her son having a little birthday shindig. And so Mrs. Horton and I sat around and talked the industry for about an hour. So very small world, and so you better be able to, I'll tell you this, and this is just how the world works. And I respect people for this. You better be able to stand up for what you believe in. You better be able to hear other people's opinions, and you better be able to let them voice their opinions too, or we're never going to get anywhere. And that goes with politics, religion, whatever. Just because somebody looks different than you, somebody has a different opinion than you, doesn't mean we hate them, okay? So it was also, I ran into her, and she said, Tim said we got to take a selfie together, it'd be funny. So we took a selfie. I threw it up on my story, but it was funny. So if there's all this tension and all this hatred and all this stuff going on, like situations like that don't happen. And I thoroughly enjoyed talking with her, and I thoroughly enjoyed having Tim on. And I'm going to have Tim back on this spring and hopefully talk about some fishing, man. So, and get into some stuff. I hope he has a good year this year and catches them up. He's got a lot of things going on in his life. Kim was telling me about. He's staying busy. So wanted to address that. Wanted to address all of that. And if you think, it was a difficult show for me. Normally I get on here and I fly off the handle, or I express my points, and I really wanted to going in. My intention was let those guys speak, ask them questions, and let the public decide one way or the other. Okay. And a lot of people have. And I just say that, until you're in that situation, because I've had some different comments and things, and people saying that they thought Gerald was trying to tell me to do my podcast, and I am a firm believer that people think that the only way you should have freedom of speech, or you should have your own opinions, is if it's the same belief that they have. And I got to text my guest here. And there's a lot of people in the world that do believe that. That definitely believe that. And that's fine. Gerald and I text after the podcast, no hard feelings, blah blah blah. And I think I feel better about that. All the stuff, I needed that purge. It had been building up to having some of those guys on, and I hope that I can have more of those guys on to for us to push the envelope and let's get into this. And going into the new year here, there's going to be a lot of conversations. And thank God fishing's about to start back up, actual fishing, and we're gonna jump into that. But I am so excited about the guests that I have today. I can't tell you how much I think of this guy. We started around the same time. And I didn't know him. I didn't know him at all. And we slowly but surely got to know each other. I feel like he would say he considers me a friend, like I consider him a friend. And I've been so proud of what he's accomplished in just a few short years being in this bass fishing world. And you won't find many people that will say differently. He has almost 80,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel that he started just a few years back. He got his first win with the FLW Tour this year, and it was one of the most emotional, exciting things that I've ever been a part of, I've ever seen. That winning moment, I've talked about it many times, was just incredible, simply incredible. And now he's headed to the Bassmaster Opens. He's decided he didn't want any part of the FLW deal, and he's going Bassmaster Opens to try to make the Elite Series. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see if we can get him on the phone. Brian Latimer.
Yo.
What's up, buddy?
What are you doing, my man?
Well, I'm doing what I've been doing all fall, which is I'm sitting at the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill, and I'm staring into a GoPro, talking into a microphone, hoping I don't make anybody mad.
Well, I just want to preface this by and let everybody know, listening, I didn't call anybody's boss. I called Luke Duncan a bitch. I didn't piss anybody off. I'm not mad at nobody.
You just want to go fishing.
I think I got quite a few friends, if I'm not mistaken.
Gerald Spoyer said that the only way to get on here is to call me a bitch, but I disagree with him. I disagree with him immensely.
I'll be the first one to let everybody know I didn't do anything. I didn't make anybody mad.
You got an invite.
Yeah.
You just got an invite. You just got an invite. And B-Lad is like Low Budget Live royalty, okay? Whenever I was trying to really figure this deal out in the beginning a couple years ago, B-Lad was always kind enough to he was in the comments on Instagram Live. He came on Instagram Live a couple times. We've done a recorded podcast or two together. So B-Lat has always been a Luke Duncan fan, and I've always been probably a bigger Brian Latimer fan.
Wait a minute, I didn't say all that. No.
Well, you know what? In the text message I sent you about this, I said you had to talk nice about me, dadgummit.
I'm a fan.
Believe me when I say that's going to be an internet comment. Yeah, he tried to make B-Lat say he was his fan, and it's clear he's not.
Right. Exactly.
So you have been very sick, sounds like.
Yeah, dude, I've been bad sick, man. Like the real deal kind of sick. I had the flu. I don't know I don't know what day is what, but I think like last week, last Friday, last Saturday, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was just fine. Then I woke up one morning, went to go get breakfast, came back, and then I slept the rest of the day. And then I woke up later that night. I was just real bad off, and I've been just getting over that. Still kind of weak, but I just cough and hack like I've been smoking cigarettes all my life. Last week too, but I feel 100% better. I just can't stop coughing. So you make me laugh. It'll sound like I'm dying, but I'm actually okay.
Well, you're like me. When you live with little kids, there's germs around. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to bring it in. Brian has two of the cutest kids in the history of the world, but it's obvious they're carriers for strep and the flu.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I've never even had the flu before.
That's crazy to me.
That's 37 years old. I'm a flu victim now. I feel like I've been vandalized.
Have you ever got the flu shot before?
No, I haven't.
Me either. And
I'm not even sure we have that where I live. I'd have to drive like 50 miles to get a flu shot. I'm not even sure we have that. We don't have cable where I live.
Do you have Walgreens anywhere close?
We have a CVS.
You can get a flu shot there. I bet.
I bet they don't have it at that one.
They ain't even got no needles.
I bet they ain't even got no needles. It's like a pill, probably.
It's a flu shot pill, and it don't even work. It's like a Flintstones Valium. They just write flu on it with a Sharpie.
It's probably a pill and some liquor.
That sounds like where I live. Be like, my grandma, Duncan, God rest her soul, if you ever had a little bit of a cough, she has some whiskey in the cabinet and would be like, here.
Yeah.
When I was like 9, I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea for me to do that.
That and rock and rock.
Yeah.
Rock and rock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely, dude.
That's old school.
It is old school. Well, dude, you obviously everybody knows your decision by now, and I to leave the tour and go to Bass, and I do want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about everything B-Lat that we can, but I want to go back though to March, because I don't think there was anybody in this fishing world that was not pulling for you to get that W on Lake Seminole. And
that was so unexpected. Like,
oh man,
I still can't watch it. And I like literally sometimes I can be driving down the road and think, dang, dude, I really won that tournament. Like I still have a hard time wrapping my mind around it.
So you still haven't really accepted the fact that you're an FLW Tour champion?
I've accepted it. I just can't believe it was that one. I just
Seminole.
Cannot believe it. Yeah, I just cannot believe it was that one.
Where would you think that your first win would have came from?
I don't know, but I just never would have thought Seminole.
Really?
I honestly can't answer that. I just never in a million years would have guessed.
I mean, you're a Hartwell guy. You're a Carolina guy. You fish all those lakes, and what people, and I know they see this watching your videos, you're really a finesse guy a lot too.
It comes across that way that I am. I kind of actually hate it. You got to realize, I really do. That's where I live, and that's what works here.
Right.
So when I film, and the things that people see me fishing is here at home, and so that kind of stuff is just what you use to catch fish here. That's just the way it is. I actually hate it. I'm a much better. I wouldn't say power fisherman, but I love to crank. I love to flip. I love to throw spinnerbait. That's more my wheelhouse, actually.
Well,
I can do that all day and not get bored.
And you your dad fished that way, right? You've told me that your dad was meat and potatoes, liked to throw a spinnerbait around, a jig around and stuff.
He was actually, my dad's actually, he was ahead of the curve on a lot of this finesse game.
Really?
80s and 90s before it became popular. Before we had a drop shot, we had, at least over here in South Carolina, we had what's called a doodle worm.
Oh, yeah.
So, it was nothing but a Texas red worm, and you fished it vertical. And so,
did it have a bead on it?
Yeah, you would. You put a little glass bead on it.
Yep.
Yeah, put a little glass bead on it, and some kind of little straight tail worm or something like that, and you just kind of drop it vertically and catch fish. We've always caught fish deep here and on Hartwell. Like it's always been. You usually just catch more largemouth than what you catch now.
A lot of big spots over there now, though.
Yeah, it's just the lake is just transitioned, but he was a lot of what you do see me fishing for nets, I really kind of owe all that to my dad. 'Cause
That's
he was
awesome.
way ahead of the curve on a lot of that stuff before a lot of people were doing it.
How proud was your dad of that win?
You know, I think he was actually decently proud because he doesn't. My dad's not the rah go son.
Mine either.
Yeah, he's like, well, you did pretty good, but if you would have caught 2 more pounds, it'd been a lot better.
Dude.
You know, he's not the kind that he don't really give you a whole bunch of credit.
You and I talked about that last year because I'd gotten one of the last checks at Cumberland last year. And my dad came up there and surprised me at the weigh-in, and he and I was pumped, 10 grand, had a miserable practice. I got like 3 bites, and I turned it into a $10,000 check, you know, and I was ecstatic. And he and I go sit, and I'll never forget, we're sitting at a booth at Steak and Shake, having a milkshake and a cheeseburger, and Dad goes, I mean, I'm proud of you, but what are you going to do? Start making some of these top 20 cuts?
Yeah.
And I said, check, please.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's mentality. That's their generation.
Yeah, it's just the way he is. I mean, he doesn't mean any harm by it.
No.
That was actually the first tournament my dad's ever come to. Ever.
Really?
VFLs, Costas, anything. Yeah.
But he was there that day.
Yeah. He was there that day. It's just one of those things. Unless you got a dad like that, it's hard to understand. They still love you, but they just hard on you. Just hard.
Well, and you do have this mentality now with the younger generations and a lot of younger parents, and I catch myself falling into it with my kids some, but it's this everybody gets a medal, you know what I mean, kind of thing, and that everybody gets everything handed to them a little bit, and so people don't know what to think when they hear a dad go, I mean, that's pretty good, but you should have made the top 10. I mean, that's pretty good, but you should have done this, and or have a bad tournament and call and go, yeah, you pretty much sucked. I'll talk to you when you get back home. I mean, they don't understand that kind of mentality, and so I respect that immensely. And I think it's made me, I won't say a better person. I think it's made me who I am, though, having a dad like that. And I wouldn't take anything for it, even on the days where I'm like, could you just say that was awesome?
Right.
Just one time.
He just does not do that.
No.
It's just the way. I mean, you're never going to get that. If you think you're going to get that, you're just going to be frustrated all your life.
What did your dad think about your move to Bass? I know he fished a club that was affiliated with Bass back in the day, and you're like me. We grew up in the same time frame. The Classic was always a really big deal to both of us. You fished some Federation tournaments, I know. You were involved with a club that was involved with the Federation. So is he excited about this move?
You know, I don't think he really cares.
He just likes to see you doing what you love.
Yeah. It didn't make him one difference one way or the other. I mean, just being completely honest.
As long as you get the grass cut, he don't care.
I remember telling him, he was like, yeah, you going to Bass? He's like, huh. He's like, okay. And that was about it. I mean, there was no.
But now when you're on that Classic stage, though,
that'll probably be a big deal.
He's going to be there. He's going to be there. He's going to be behind the scenes. I have no doubt. Well, are you excited about Bass? I know you're a guy that you ooze positive vibes, right? That's even shout out to Brian's clothing line, Vibes. Get those, get on that website, get you some of that for a late stocking stuffer. I doubt he's going to deliver it by Christmas.
I don't think you're going to get it.
I don't think you're going to get it by Christmas. But are you excited for this change, man? Are you nervous? What are you thinking going into just a few weeks down at Toho?
I am nervous, actually. You know, I didn't. Let's see. How do you say this? I don't want to say I didn't want to do it. I did want to switch. It's just FLW is all I've ever known.
Right.
I didn't really, you know, I fished BFLs. I was honestly happy fishing at FLW. The way that FLW has been.
Right. Me too.
Just with taking so much away, you know, I just didn't have anything that I felt like I could not see myself fishing at FLW 10 years from now, 5 years, you know, in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do something. But to answer your question, I am excited about it because, of course, every fisherman always wants to fish the Bassmaster Classic. I'd love to win an Elite Series event. Uh, those are things that ultimately were the reason that I did decide to switch, because I could see myself competing at Bass 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. I could see myself making classics. I could see myself trying to win an AOY there or to win a tournament there. I could visually see myself doing that. Where with all the stuff that's changed in FLW, it's just a vision for the future is very cloudy for me. Doesn't mean it's that way for everybody or for the company in general.
Right.
For me, for Brian, it was very cloudy, and I don't like operating in cloudy circumstances. And I like the vision to be clear, because that's my motivation. Is how I see myself.
Well, that's well put. And I'm one of you and I started at the exact same time, and I've been very vocal on here, so we don't even have to go down those roads. But, for me, taking away the cup was a really big deal for a lot of anglers. And I was surprised that a lot of guys that have been loyal to FLW decided to go back this year, and a lot of them felt like they didn't have any choice, and that's fine. And I respect those guys, Josh Douglas and Brad Knight and Sam George and Terry Bolton. There's a lot of guys that are going back, and I'll say this right here, and I think Brian will echo this, is watch FLW this year, please. There's been a lot of noise about the guys leaving and a lot of noise from this show, but there are a lot of really, really, really good anglers that are still going to be fishing over there, that are still going to be catching them. So go watch them. Watch it. But the cup going away was huge. And then I think for me, you work so hard, and I was never this household name on tour, and I never had a win, and I never even had a top 10 as a pro. And I know all those stats about myself. I wasn't a Brian Latimer, or a Scott Martin or Brian Thrift, these guys. But the fact is, now it is AAA on paper. Yeah. And that's a problem, for sponsor perception and different things,
I started to have some issues with that right there at the end, and that was definitely a part of it on the business side, because they pretty much did make it a $40,000 AAA event.
Absolutely.
That was a rub for me. It really was.
I get that, and so now you're going to the Bass Opens, man, and I think, they got that win in your end deal, so you win one, and I know they're kind of coming to your backyard at kind of a tough time of year.
Yeah,
that's good. That probably helped sway that decision a little bit, too.
That's going to be a hard tournament.
No doubt.
But, when we come in the spring, I honestly don't have an advantage. When they come there in March and April, I don't have an advantage. It'll be a little different in September.
That's right. That's right. That's right. The fall is a great equalizer, and that local advantage does tend to jump out more in the fall, because we were over there our rookie year, and we blasted them. Everybody caught 14 pounds. It was such an awesome lake, and it became one of my favorite lakes that I've ever been to. Getting to pre-fish over there for the event, and so I understand why it's so special. But that tournament in September, when I heard they were going there, I was like, "Woo." Yeah. Mine's going to be what kind of weight on average does it take in the fall to win an event on Hartwell?
It's pretty wide. It depends on what the weather's doing. When it's hot, the weights are typically a little higher. If we start to get a few cold fronts by that time of year, the weights can actually drop significantly. It's weird. You think it'd be the opposite, but the cooler weather makes the lake turn over, and then things just get a little funky there for a while. So just depending on what kind of weather we have, it could be anywhere from as low as 13 a day to win, as high as I don't foresee you seeing much over 46, 47 pounds 3 days. I don't think it's possible. I mean, that Bass Nation championship, they called it a 26-pound bag.
I saw that, dude. Is that that's a giant stringer for Hartwell, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one. The biggest I've ever caught at Hartwell, I caught a 24-pound bag in a club tournament one time. I've never seen a 26 that I remember anyway.
Especially December? I mean, that's so...
Well, it's the time for it. It is.
The winter time.
This is when it's fishing as good as right now.
Well, that was impressive to see, and there was another 23-pound bag that day, I believe.
Yeah,
The lake really showed out.
23. Yeah.
Do yourself a favor if you're listening to this and you live close or you don't. Brian, you're still doing your guide trips, right? Some, and your angler.
I don't really have time to. I travel so much with filming and doing YouTube that I'm not at home to stay on fish to do guide trips.
I was fixing to give you a shameless plug, and there you go.
Yeah.
Go to Hartwell and go fishing. Support that area because that is a bass fishing mecca over there, in my opinion. It's one of the special places in our country, and it turns out a lot of good fishermen, great fishermen, and that whole Savannah River region, I call it, over there, and I'll throw in like Lanier into that too. I know it's not, but it is. There's a lot of special people over there and a lot of really good fishing to be had. It's a really cool part of the country. And I've always, I met Gagliardi years ago on Lake Murray and fell in love with Murray, and then got to Hartwell and he had always told me about Hartwell and Russell and some of those. Like I never have been on Russell, but what do you got? Lake Kiwi over there, kind of in that same neck of the woods too. Lots of good fishing.
It starts at Jocassee.
Yeah, Jocassee.
Kiwi, Hartwell, Russell, Clarksville. That's pretty much, those are the lakes that I grew up.
It's awesome.
Except with the exception of Jocassee. I don't really go up there much, but that's a very, very special place.
Oh,
I don't hear about.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of our state records on Lake Jocassee, which is like the headwaters of the Savannah River chain.
And it's really deep, really clear, really cold.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of trout. It's got big smallmouth, big largemouth, big spots.
It's very, very deep.
You and I need to do a traveling circus at Jocassee in about June this year. That would be fun.
I haven't fished it enough to know when the best time is. I bet right about now is good, and then probably somewhere between April and May, maybe even June, maybe June, but for sure April and May.
I've heard they get on the bed late there because it's so deep that you can catch them up there in June. Gagliardi's told me that a few times that it just gets silly over there. But, dude, I want to get into something that I feel like a lot of people don't know about you. That's one of my favorite things about Brian Latimer, and I think it helped make us buddies even more than our love for fishing. That's your love for music.
Yeah, man.
Bass player.
Yeah, I played bass in church. Listen to my little boy. I played bass in church for 17 years before I started fishing. So yeah, music's a real big part of life for me.
And you and I love the same people a lot of times in this music world. But John Mayer is we're firing on all cylinders with old John.
Yeah, John's my favorite musician, man. That dude's he's pretty amazing.
He's a freak of nature, and we like John's bass player a lot, Pino Palladino.
Right.
He's just a freak of nature. Dude, I got another one for you, and I think I've texted you this, and I want to say it on here because I've been on this kick for like the last 3 days, and it's the best thing ever. I told you about this band, and actually, Peyote Perryman from FLW, that runs FLW Live, producer, does their television show. Peyote told me about this band when I did FLW Live back in May, and they're called Wolfpeck, Vulfpeck. And they're a funk band, but they got a dude named Joe Dart on the bass that might be one of the best ones I've ever heard in my life. He is a freak of nature, but they all spawn off into different bands, that solo bands, all the guys in the band, and they are white boys playing soul music and funk that you never see it coming. If you saw them, if they walked in Walmart, you'd be like, man, they're in here to buy some, what is that, like Magic the Gathering cards. They're like just little nerdy looking white kids, and then they're bad dudes. bad dudes. So go listen to that and let me know what you think about that for sure.
There's a lot of good, the best music just doesn't come on the radio.
That's right.
There's a lot of good musicians out there and a lot of good music out there that's not necessarily popular.
That's right.
Mainstream popular, but the best music you gotta hunt for.
You gotta dig for it.
And it's out there. Don't ever let anybody tell you that there's music's changed and it's not good anymore. There's a lot of good artists out there and a lot of good music.
Yeah, and anymore with the internet, and this is kind of leads into my next topic I want to talk to you about is it does seem to rise up through YouTube, and through Spotify and things. And you don't have to be on the radio anymore to be very, very, very successful musically. You got to play your butt off, play a lot of shows, write good music. But if you identify with a crowd of any kind, it starts getting spread around, and it spreads. The fires spread faster now than they ever did, back in the day.
Yeah, if you can't make it now, you just suck.
Well, that was my story. I just sucked. I had the songs. I put in the work. I just sucked. Exactly. That's how it is.
It's either you suck or you just haven't waited long enough.
Well, there was
one or the other.
There was a soul singer named Caleb Hawley, Hawley, that I discovered yesterday. And he was on American Idol back in 2011. He runs around with some of these guys from Wolfpack, and they're all tied into some of my other favorite bands. But anyways, I was reading this article that he was in, and the guy doing the interview said, man, it just doesn't make sense to me that you're not immensely popular. And he said, just hadn't bought the right lottery ticket yet. And I thought that was beautiful, because it's the same way with fishing. It's the same way with, it's just, when it's your time, it's going to be your time. And if you put in your work, I really do believe that it'll happen. And if you're putting yourself into it, and you are 1,000% an example of a guy that you don't make excuses. You don't like when people say, well, if I had all that money like pros, you and I talk about that drives you crazy. It drives me crazy. If I knew somebody, all it takes is knowing somebody and I could be a pro. Well, tell people why you get offended by that. I know they probably heard it in your videos, but talk about that a little bit.
I get so offended. A lot of it goes back to my pops. Honestly, I used to be that guy. So let me preface it by saying that I used to be that guy. When I was in my 20s, I'd always say, man, if my dad bought me a boat, or if my dad paid my entry fees like they did for so and so, or if my parents refinanced a mortgage, I could have fished this or that too. And my dad just finally told me one day, he was like, son, if you can't make it in fishing, you got nobody to blame but yourself. And it was the statement that changed my life. It really did. So I hate when people make those excuses. I even hear pros, like existing pros, they make excuses for this and make excuses for that, or I just don't have the support. I don't have the sponsors, this, that, and the other. Dude, that stuff, it just pisses me off, because I know if I can make it, nobody helped me. Nobody helped me at all. Nobody ever gave me money. My dad wouldn't even sign for me to get a loan on my first boat. Wouldn't even sign for me. So, I mean, if I can make it in a little too red light town, and let's just be honest, I'm a black guy. I ain't never even seen anybody do what I'm trying to do. So when I hear other people complain about it, it really is like, dude, if I can do this, I know, like, you ain't got no excuses. I didn't have, matter of fact, my dad was he didn't want me to fish at all. And quite honestly, just was pretty discouraging when I was a kid. So, when I hear people, say that they got this, you can't do it because of that. It's like, dude, we live in America. If you need money, it's out there to get. You just got to figure out how to get it.
And that kind of led you into your adversity is dope movement, that I would call it. And a lot of people latched on to that, man.
Yeah, it started. It started a long time before I realized what it was. It happens a lot with even in fishing, but almost every athletic sport, the people that are doing the most have the most adversity. It never works out like you think it does. Some kind of athlete, he gets an injury and then he overcomes the injury. He doesn't have any money. They grew up in the project. Now he's a millionaire. It's the same thing with fishing. You hear a lot of the pros that fishing, they didn't grow up with money, or they grew up with boats. They had raggedy problems. They didn't have entry fee money. They ran credit card debt up to the ceiling, and then they won 7 classics. It's not 7, but they come out on top of winter. And I don't think we're telling kids those stories enough. We're telling them the story that we like to talk about is, when you make the Elite Series, you better get ready, because you got to have $48,000 checked right. That's the story we want to tell. That doesn't matter It's America. Get some $48,000. It's out there. Just go find it. Like just go figure it out. That's what my dad. It's his favorite thing to say. Is just son, you just got to figure it out. So like you ought to be embarrassed that Shin Fukai can come from Japan and make it in fishing, and you can't.
That's
you
something.
should be embarrassed of that. You know, like or Takahiro Mori can come from Japan,
not know the language at all,
not even speak freaking English, and then you're over here talking about, well, I just ain't got no support. You should be embarrassed of that.
Shin won AOI in his first year on tour.
I'm embarrassed of that. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed.
He just cold cocked everybody.
Yes. You should be embarrassed that Carl Jacobson can come from Australia. I don't even know. I don't even know if he lives in a house.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't.
And then.
But he committed his life to it.
Yes, you should be embarrassed.
Committed his life to it, man.
I would be embarrassed to say I couldn't make it or I didn't have the resources, and then you got people coming. You were already born here.
You don't even need no green card.
You don't even need a green card, dude. You don't even have to have a currency transfer.
You here?
You should be embarrassed.
You're in Alabama right now complaining because you can't pay for the BFLs. It's mad at somebody on the internet, blaming MLF that you can't fish.
Right. You're blaming that it's every fish counts, so I can't be a pro. Like you should be embarrassed of that.
Well, and I say this, you know, if you don't like what's going on in one situation, you're living proof of it. Scott Martin's living proof. Or if you don't see that being your vision, you move. You know, it's the same with Swindle and Polly. Move on. And for me, I do a lot of pissing and moaning on this podcast, and I'm trying to voice what's going on, I feel like, for fans, because behind the scenes I feel like they don't see it a lot of times, you know. But at the same time, for me, I didn't like what was going on, so guess what Luke's going to do this year? He's going to do his podcast, he's going to do some TH Marine work, and he's going to do the Traveling Circus on YouTube, and that's going to be my life for 2020. And I'm going to have fun, but I'm going to be making money, okay, call it making a living, whatever, but in the fishing world. So that's that's the little corner of it I've created. So and I never caught them as good as I wanted to at all. That's well documented. But you can do, like you said, this is America. We can do whatever we want to do. We can.
Right. Yeah, you can. I mean, you really can. If you're willing to wait the time. It took me. I'll be honest with you. It felt like forever, and then when I really think about it, I feel like now that everything's kind of come full circle, it's actually right on time. You see guys like pop through, especially for the kids that are watching. You see guys like Jacob Wheeler or Jordan Lee pop through. Those guys are like an anomaly.
They're special.
That's a very, very special.
It's like that John Mayer. It's like that John Mayer. Yes, special.
Yes.
Different.
Like
born in a different.
Yeah, it's like playing the guitar and thinking you're going to be John Mayer in a year.
No,
like that's not even. I don't want to say it's not realistic. I'm not want to say that the next kid can't be the next Jordan Lee or Jacob Wheeler or whoever that you think one of the best young fishermen are. But realistically, if you really think about it, if you're coming out of college right now, you need to give yourself 15 years. You need to give yourself 4 to 5 years on BFLs, 4 to 5 years at the AAA level, and 4 to 5 years at the tour level before you can even start complaining about, I don't think I can, I don't know if I'm ready or not. So it's really, you have to give yourself 15 years. And I used to think, God, man, these guys are so good. They're going so fast. Yada, yada. Dude, it was like 3 people. The entire world. Yes. It was really like 3, 4 fishermen. So for the vast majority of us normal people, I think you better give yourself 15 years.
Well, you look at a guy like, and you mentioned it, but look at a guy like Carl Jacobson that got his first win this year, that qualified for the Elite Series twice now, that did well on the FLW Tour. I mean, dude, this guy didn't even bass fish until just a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's not from America, so you can make it work if it's meant to be and you work hard. It can happen. It can definitely happen. And I'll touch on something that you said. This is something that I've heard said that I feel like is very important for young folks and adults alike to hear. Don't go and try to be Luke Duncan. Definitely don't try to do that. But don't try to be B-Lat. Don't try to be Jordan Lee. Don't try to be Jacob Whit. Be you. Yeah, do whatever it is you do, and it'll all fall into place.
Flowers. fishermen of flowers. We all flower at different times, man. And it could be 3 years it takes you. It could be 10. It could be 20. Like I mean, think about like a guy like Around the Garden.
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't even think he didn't even bust on the scene until he was like in his late 30s or 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Was he maybe 40? I think.
Yeah.
Maybe in his 40s. So you know the kids that are coming out of school, you got so much time, and like your perspective of how long this is going to take, it better be right, or you're going to get discouraged real fast. If you think you're going to do it by your 25, and there will be a handful of kids that do, but for the vast majority of us that are like me, it's just going to take a while.
That's it.
So you just get your perspective on time and how long this is going to take. It's just got to be in the right place.
Well, I think that's all very important for people to hear. And I know you talk about that on your YouTube channel a ton, and a lot of your videos and things, and you try to explain to people. And on social media, you throw up a lot of inspirational quotes and things that move you, and you share those things. But on that YouTube note, you have almost up to 80,000 subs, man, and you have this just crazy following. People love B-Lat. That's one of the things that made me most proud of you. I had to do because I obviously wasn't fishing on the top 10 day when you won, and I was on the live feed on the comments for FLW. They'd asked me to be on there. I have never seen this response from people going, "Show B-Lat. What's B-Lat got? B-Lat, B-Lat, B-Lat." If I saw that once, I said it was incredible. And I was like, my friend, I was so proud. And I made a post that night. That I was truly as proud of you and for you as anybody I've ever been proud for. And it was just it was inspirational. It was inspirational to see what you've done. And, you know, you did it the right way, man. But what, in this YouTube thing, do you think, because it's very, and you know all about this, there was very much a YouTube versus pro thing that was going on. And it still goes on. It still goes on. It still goes on. But it's, you're a YouTuber, so you need to shut up. You're not a pro because you don't have a jersey and a thing, you know, whatever. Right. And then meanwhile, you got guys like the Googans or whatever, and Ben Milliken, some of these guys that got 1 million subscribers, 300, 400 subscribers. You know, I mean, they're very much moving the needle in the fishing world, and they're very much educating fishermen. And you'll have some fishermen go, well, what they're saying is wrong to the
ego.
Yeah, it's ego, right?
That's just ego.
Yeah. But you have blended those two, I feel like, the YouTube scene and the pro scene. Second, you know, Scott has done it very well. And I feel like you've done it very well, showing practice, showing what you did. Brandon Palnick has done that well, I feel like. But Brandon is not as invested in the YouTube world as you are. You work so hard. And at the same time, you're showing a guy how to use a chatterbait, showing a guy what a Ned rig is after I taught you what it was when we fished at Guntersville last year. And I was like, Brian, this is what a Ned rig is. And I showed you, and then you've been able to do several videos since then.
Fighting ever since.
You've been right. You were wrong, and then you fished with me at Guntersville, and it's a long story, folks, but I did teach Brian what a net. He didn't even know. He sponsored by Z-Man. He was very confused on what a Ned rig was. And I was like, this is a Ned rig, Brian. I picked it up, and he was like, is it really? It really opened his eyes up, and it was worth the 5-hour drive for him to come get in my boat that day on Guntersville.
Oh, my God.
We had a big time, but we joke about that. But you do teach. You do cover the tournaments. And now, though, what's funny to me, and I'd like to see what you think about this, there are so many pros that are like, swipe up to subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Everybody's got one now.
Yeah, everybody's got one. I think here's the thing. I think pros now, they know if they better get on it. But for one, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
I think everybody's have this great idea that they're going to film and do some stuff with YouTube, and then they figure out
so much work, dude. It's so much work.
Yeah, it's a full-time job.
And you're a one-man band.
So, I'm a one-man band, man. I do for some of my straight-up fishing stuff, which I tried to make this a little bit more polished. I have a camera guy that
That's right.
Me, but I still edit because it's just like a certain thing that I want in my videos.
So you edit your straight-up fishing videos?
I do all.
I didn't realize that.
Everything. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. They look really good.
A lot of people don't know as well that I did not have a camera until about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
All
I've never
iPhone.
had a camera. All iPhone. And GoPro here and there. I hate GoPros, but I will use them to do like filming and fishing videos
Yeah.
and so forth. But that's all I had. I didn't have anything at all. I just it all started out of necessity. It all started because I knew when I started fishing, I was going to have to figure out something else to make money, and I did not want to continue landscaping to fill in that gap. I was like, that is not an option. I hate it. I don't want to see another shovel. I don't want to ever drive another tractor. I don't ever want to dump another load of mulch. I don't want to ever nothing. I was like, I am going to figure out how to work every day at fishing, and that's how I got started.
That's awesome, man.
And it didn't, it just like my fishing career, it's been really slow. I'm happy with the growth, but it's probably a lot slower than a lot of other YouTubers that you'll see out there. But I have fun. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. I don't understand all the jargon that you hear camera guys make. I don't know what resolution is. I don't know what 4K is. I'm like, dude, did you turn the camera on? Is it recording? That's pretty much all I know about filming. I don't really know a whole bunch about it.
Well, for what little I know a lot less. and in this, I have my camera guy. We did the traveling circus thing, kind of doing what Polnick did last year. Tried that and threw that out there, and it did okay. And but I've played with a lot of different things, and I got some stuff coming this year I'm really excited about. But what you said on just being work, and my wife and I actually had this conversation yesterday. I don't think people realize, and I'm not tooting my own horn here at all, but people hear me do this podcast, and you see the little cheesy GoPro video I do, and you throw it up. People don't understand how much time that takes, how much time it takes planning, and to do all this. And my wife's like, you're really messing with this a lot. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot, man. And I only do it weekly. And so in the spring, the goal is to add in a lot of other videos. And I don't think people realize just how much time you spend, just the planning alone of where you're going to film, when you're going to film, what you're going to film. It's a full-time gig, man. That's why once I really got into it, it was hard for me. I could never knock any YouTuber in any field, whether it's fishing, gamers, whatever. It's so much work. So much work.
I got so much respect for so many of the guys that pros make fun of or say they don't know what they're doing. I got so much respect for them.
Me too.
Because, dude, these guys are putting out videos every day.
Every day.
Every single day. When I first started doing YouTube, dude, it was all I could do to put out one video a week.
Yeah.
Like it was.
That's where I'm at.
Everything I could do. Yeah, that was hard. It would take me all week to edit one video. Like now I can do it, and just depending on what kind of video it is, it could be anywhere from 45 minutes to, even a hard video, 3 or 4 hours. But it used to take me for just a simple 15-minute video. It would be all week long. But, you had this group of guys that were putting out content every single day, and they were just caving in our heads as professional fishermen when it comes to exposure and reaching new people. And everything that professional fishing is supposed to be doing, they did it in like a year and a half.
And that being said, that growing the sport that we keep hearing thrown out there, growing the sport. I don't think anybody's grown the sport. And I'll throw this shade at MLF, FLW, Bassmaster Opens. Nobody's grown the sport as much as YouTubers have. Nobody.
Every single one of them, dude. They're not even touching. There's kids out there fishing now that don't even know what those organizations are.
Totally agree.
You should be embarrassed of that.
I know. Totally agree.
You should be so embarrassed of that. I got one of the best comments ever about 2 weeks ago or so. Obviously the tournament season hasn't been going on for the last couple months, and I think I inserted a clip of me tournament fishing in one of my other videos. And somebody commented is that I didn't even know that you were a professional fisherman. And I thought, like, that is the coolest comment. And then at the same time, I was like, oh, crap, I got to do a better job.
You're like, I'm not, yeah.
But at the same time, I loved it because that means people are actually watching and learning about fishing through the internet. And they don't even have a clue that
they don't care.
They don't even have no
care,
clue.
Man.
So
fishing is fun. Should be fun.
we missed it. I think, we missed it. The industry or the tournament world as a whole, we just a big swing and a whiff on the internet when it comes to just telling people about our sport and how fun it is. We really missed that one big time.
And wait till you see the comments on this section of the podcast right here, because people get triggered and heated over the YouTube versus pro fisherman debate, especially my listeners. Especially my listeners.
Amazing. It is amazing.
Well, it's a split. It's a split. Some people are fans, some people aren't.
You know why the YouTubers won? You know why, like the Googans, why they won? They made fishing fun.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't make it difficult. They didn't try to come up with all these complicated rhythms of why, how we were going to grow the sport. You know what they did? They took a camera, they went to the pond, and they filmed themselves fishing. They laughed and giggled, and that was it. That's all, dude. That's all you can do. That's all you can do is that. It's not complicated how we make this grow. Look, maybe we don't even make it grow. Maybe it's big enough. Maybe if we just took care of the people that already like fishing, it would snowball. I don't even know that we need to do anything different. I think, quite honestly, we're too impatient with the industry. We're so busy trying to make it grow, so try to make it something, make it the next thing. We're not even enjoying where we are right now.
Well, I can say this, there's a lot of, and Tim Horton was on and was talking about their CBS ratings and things, when they got on CBS, and that's fine. And that is reaching a different market. But you know who I want to reach? I want to reach those 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds that don't have a daddy that tournament fishes, that don't have a high school bass fishing team, that got a pond in their backyard or one that they can ride their bike to down the street. And that's who the YouTubers are reaching out to. That's how we grow the sport.
It is growing. I don't think we realize how much it really actually is growing. When those kids that are watching YouTube now, they're 12, 15 years old, 20 years from now, when they're the CEO of McDonald's, and then they grew up fishing through YouTube, or 20 years from now, when they own, whatever, when they own the next Belks, or when they own Goodyear, or whatever it is, the kids that are now 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, they're going to come back to fishing, and they're going to reinvest in it. And so the seed has been planted. It's just, it hasn't grown yet. And we're so impatient in our industry. We're so trying to make it. We got to get payouts and no entry fees. And we got to do this, and we got to this, and we got to do that. It's like, dude, just wait. Just hold on. Like everything's actually lining up just the way it's supposed to be. We're just being a little bit too pushy. And a lot of stuff is going to change, I feel like, in the next 15 years, 20 years from now. It's going to be a lot of money in our sport. There already is a lot of money in our sport. We just try to compare it to everything else.
Major League Baseball and golf, the PGA Tour, which it's not. It's not.
It's just our sport is just not golf. It's not NASCAR. I don't want it to be. If I wanted it to be NASCAR, I would have bought a race car. I like fishing, dude. I don't care if it's fishing for $100 or $1 million.
Or just fishing in the creek with Rob Jordan.
Fishing in the creek with Rob Jordan.
Which I better get invited on next year. I'm done with both of you. I'll say that on camera right now. Right now.
We may let you come. We may let you in the crowd. I'm not sure. But I am satisfied with fishing now. I don't need it to be anything bigger. Do I want it to grow bigger? Yes, I do. But I'm just really obsessed with just enjoying fishing the way it is right now. I'm happy with it.
I love it. You know what? I think that's a good one to send folks into Christmas on right there, B-Lat.
Go on to Christmas.
I think send them on to Christmas. I think that's a good thing to end on. And y'all, if you're not following him, which if you're here, you're following B-Lat. But if you're not, follow him on Instagram, follow him on the Facebooks. But definitely subscribe to his YouTube channel. You're gonna do all your normal coverage during the Opens, right?
Yeah, man. Same thing.
Same deal.
Same thing I've always been doing. I'll film all the practice videos. I usually do at least one day in practice. I don't do every day because I try to actually practice and focus on that. But I'll film at least one day in practice. All the tournaments. If you guys, I know I'm going to be doing quite a few shows this year because we only have a tournament in January and then not until April. So February and March, I'm going to be really busy. I'm doing the Columbus show. So you guys that are in and around the Columbus, Ohio, make sure you do that. If there's anybody listening in Canada, I'm going to Toronto to work the show up there. I'm sure you guys already know what it is. I have no idea what the name of that show in Toronto
That's
is.
cool.
So, yeah, that'll be cool. And Bass University. There's going to be a Bass University here in Anderson, South Carolina, so register for that. And I'm working on doing my own school for this year, too. It's going to be sometime in the last part of February. I just haven't got a location nailed down yet. So just I'll make sure I tell everybody as soon as I get all the details nailed down to let you know so you can register for that and make sure you're there.
Absolutely. That's going to be awesome. B-Lat is an amazing teacher, and he's an amazing guy, and I'm proud to call him a friend. And B-Lat, I hear the little ones in the background. I know the Christmas crack is kicking in. That's what I call it when I pick my kids up Friday from school. It's like, ah!
Oh, my gosh.
If you could bottle it and sell it, it'd be better than any meth any crackhead could buy.
I've got pots and pans spread all over the living room. Just think about that for a second. Pots and pans in the living room. That didn't make sense, does it?
It does to a toddler, baby.
It does. It makes complete sense to him. Exactly right.
All right, buddy. You and the missus, I hope y'all have an amazing Christmas. Tell the boys I said hey, and I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you so much for coming on right here close to Christmas.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good Christmas.
Thank you, buddy. B-Lat. That was awesome, man. Such a good talk. Such a good guy. Very, very grateful. Listen to that. Listen. I don't know how well you can hear that. That rain on that tin roof. Pouring rain here this morning. But awesome conversation with an awesome dude I'm very proud of. And, end the LBL holiday season on some positivity. I like it. Headed down to Texas this week after Christmas. Going to go down for a couple days, fish with some folks from 6 Cents down on some East Texas lakes down there, some power plant lakes, and going to go down fish with Mr. Ben Milliken, do some filming for a couple days, then come back. I'm trying to put it together to do a low-budget live New Year's Eve spectacular. We're going to see. Still trying to put that together. I'll let y'all know. This will be the only podcast this week. I'd like to wish you a very, very, very Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, happy holidays, whatever. We celebrate Christmas around here. But Merry Christmas to you. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week with your family. I hope that you hug your loved ones, and I hope that Santa brings you something good. And I hope y'all that are married out there got your wife, and those that aren't married, your girlfriend. I hope you got something special. Hope you got something special. That way you might get a little special old Christmas. Let's hope I pulled it out for the triple threat. I hope. Gonna take y'all out on my song, Biloxi Blues. Thank y'all very, very much. Ho, ho, ho!
From Jacksontown to Tupelo, I never could make it last. Spanish moss and Civil War ghosts, well, I'm gonna leave them in the past. Any direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter east or west. North, south, wherever the wind blows, I'm leaving those burdens at rest. This highway, it does not know my name, and I don't care, no, I don't care. Headed my way for another place, and I got 3 good tires and a spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to